Okay, all right. Welcome everyone to everyone who has joined us online as well as in person. Uh, we are here to have an interaction with some of our recent students who have taken the test and they have scored an overall band of 7.5 or more in the test. We actually have been doing these sort of interaction sessions uh, every year. We do it more frequently during the months of August till December, so that we are able to bring in recent and live feedback in front of test takers who are either with us for training, or there are students who may be thinking about opting for training for IELTS. So we do these sessions with the intention that it would educate every test takers, uh, be it during the time that you are just deciding that you would be preparing for it, or the time when you are in the preparation process. There are some very crucial strategic steps that one has to take so that one can take the least amount of time and get the highest scores possible. Um, I also would like to thank all the people who have joined, who have recently taken the test and scored well. We hope that you'll be able to provide valuable insights to students who are uh, either preparing for the test now, or they would have just begun with their preparation, or they may be even planning to start with their preparation process. In the uh, first half of the session, Anupa ma'am, who has joined us here online, she would be asking some common and some essential questions to all the panelists, to all the seven top scorers. After which the session would be open for all the participants here to ask questions. I hope that people who are going to listen to this interaction in the first few minutes, you would get answers to most of the questions that you may have in your mind. But still, if you think that there are certain questions that you would like to ask specific to how you should be preparing or how these people have prepared for the test, feel free to ask those questions. We will be opening the question answer round towards the end. We'll let you know when we are opening for questions. Regarding asking those questions, I would be hoping that the people who are here in person would be asking these questions here in the room, whereas people who have joined us online, they would be writing their questions in the chat. I would be reading them out, and you would be able to. The panelists would be answering these questions. Um, Based on the setup that we have, for the people who are here in person, you would be expected to um, stand in front of this particular computer that I have, so that you would be able to be visible to the people who are here online, and you'll be able to speak to them as well. And yeah, you would be taking turns on answering questions. So if you have been asked to answer a question, feel free to join this place over here and answer the question. For some of our panelists who are here online, uh, they are currently visible on a projector screen. So people who are here in person be able to hear their responses just as the people online would do. So now that we are clear as to how the session would be conducted, I'll hand it over to Anupam ma'am. Anupam, ma'am, you may begin.
Thank you, Hiren sir. Wish you a very good evening, students, and very warm welcome to this session. Many congratulations to all the top scorers and our panelists. You have done a commendable job, and all of us are really eager to listen to you, your insights. So straight away, we'll begin with the question answer session. And my first question is oriented to Tanishka. Tanishka, would you unmute yourself?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Tanishka, many congratulations on 7.5. It's really above average score. And part of it is mainly because of your regular attendance in the class. You have maintained really strong attendance record. So my question is, how important is it to attend classes regularly, and how does it help?
In my opinion, it's extremely imperative to attend all the classes because what happens is, every day you get to learn something new about the test. And in case if you skip any class during the period or during the duration of the batch, then there is a probability or there's a possibility of you missing out, or you'll start lagging behind. And because of that, you will have to cover it yourself. So I feel it's extremely important. In fact, it was what do you say, like I was really busy during that time. I had my college projects. Yet I used to rush back home and attend the classes. So yeah, I feel it's really, really important, and it significantly helps you boost your score.
Right. Perfect. So mainly this is because even you would agree, Tanishka, that our classes are strategy based, because you see, you guys learn English right from your fifth standard or even first standard. But when it comes to IELTS, the test is more strategic based. So it is important to know these strategies beforehand. So I guess that must have helped you to prepare overall for, especially for the test, because English, even we are not native speakers, we know it very well. But what is important is those strategies that you must have got from the class, right?
Yes, yes, absolutely. Actually, my teacher at that time was Apurva ma'am. I think she's in the US now, but she was the one who taught me really, really well, and all the credit goes to her because the way she used to teach us and the efforts that she put in are commendable.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And next follow-up question to that is, it's not just classroom training, but self preparation is also important. Okay, so side by side, what kind of self preparation do for your test?
Basically, what I used to do is I used to watch English movies and I used to read the subtitles as well. So that helped me with my vocab and with my pronunciations. And the strategy, basically, what I did was after the batch was over, I used to write the essay, like I used to practice essays, like there are two essays, right? So I used to practice the essay every single day. And mocks either used to be like alternate days or, like the listening, reading, and like all of that. That either used to be alternate days or like some days it used to be every day. So that's the strategy I use. And I didn't stress myself much over this, like I have to complete so much and solve so many mock tests in a day. I used to, do it according to my pace and how much ever time I had. So like that.
Great, Tanishka. You actually came up with a very good point, because those assignments really help you after the class. Those assignments that are put on the Google Classroom are really helpful to consolidate your strategies that you learn in the class, right? So that helps a lot. And you also get to know your weaknesses so that you work on them gradually, right? So thank you, Tanishka. Thanks for your feedback. And my next question is to Shruti. Is Shruti offline there or online? Yes. Yes, Shruti. Many congratulations. Am I audible to you?
Yes.
Yes. So overall band score, it's really commendable, Shruti. And my question is, how many days, weeks, months in advance did you plan this test?
So I plan to give my test on 10th of June, and I registered for the test on 10th of May. I gave exactly a month for it. And during that time, so the class gave me a schedule and I followed it completely.
Right. So you at least planned your test 1 month prior to the actual test, right? Which is very
Yes.
important, because you get ample time to prepare for the test so that you do not rush at the end, right? Great.
Yes.
So it is important to know your current level and then give ample time to preparation and then plan your test accordingly. My follow-up question to this is, just scheduling test is not the important factor, but how much time during a day did you give for preparation?
So I would daily solve at least one writing task, and I would do listening and reading alternate days. So I knew my writing was weak, so I would do it daily, like one day task one or task two, depends. And then I would send the answers to the IELTS coordinator, Sanjog sir, and he would tell me my mistakes and send it back. So that's how I practiced my writing. And for speaking also, there were sessions taken at Akshay, and those really helped me in that.
Great. So you knew that writing and speaking section are the ones that you need to work upon, and then you improve upon them gradually, because I think you gave ample time for the preparation. That's the key point, right?
Yes.
Yes. Great, Shruti. Thank you so much. And my next question is to Yash. I think Yash had joined online here.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Yash, Band 8 is a really great score. Many congratulations. And my question is with respect to writing section of the test. Writing section, and you scored 7.5, which I will say really above average score, especially for the writing section. Any score above 7 for writing and speaking is considered to be a above average score. So I particularly want to ask you about this writing section. It is the most challenging section, I would say, because our statistics says that students average score of students in reading and listening section is band 8 or band 8.5, whereas average score of students in writing and speaking section is 6.5. So 7.5 is good job. And my question is, how did you prepare for writing section specifically?
Ma'am, at the start, like I really find it daunting, but then Sanjog sir helped me. Like during my mock test, the initial ones, I didn't get a really good score, but then sir shared a template with me, which really helped. So using the template, I found how could I paraphrase the topic and add on to it. And basically, it is all about the strategy to cover the points and how to use the paragraphing. So
Perfect.
after that, what really helped was the interactive sessions which I used to have with sir after the mock test. In
So, you actually brought a very good point, that is template. Okay. So knowing the format in advance makes your job easier. So you just need to practice
yes,
on format. It's just that topic varies, format remains same. So you know what exactly
yes,
is to be done during those 40 minutes. So basically that helps you,
yes,
right? Great.
yes,
And a very quick follow-up question to that is, how did you prepare on idea building and paragraph formation, especially on task 2?
The first paragraph is basically the first sentence is paraphrasing the topic, and then in the second sentence we write about our opinion, or if the case is about the reasons behind it. So we briefly mention about the reasons, and then the first paragraph is the first reason or the first point of view, and then we conclude it. And in the second paragraph, we write the second opinion or the reason for the same, and the concluding paragraph has to include the both of the points, and we basically press on the one which we are for, and we end the essay.
Include the paragraph.
So the main point is to give the point and then follow it up with an example, and then again restate the same, like uh, based on this example or my experience, I find suppose a point to be more in weight in comparison to the other. So basically, it is following the pattern which helps, like to state the point, then give an example, and then restate the point. That is the main strategy. Like initially, I used to write essays, like the vocabulary and all used to be good, but what I didn't follow was this strategy of including examples. So I added it with time, and it really helped.
Perfect. So yes, basically what you're suggesting is it is important to come up with valid ideas and support those ideas with relevant examples. And you can use
Yes,
hypothetical examples even. right? So to
Yes.
include these ideas and examples in essay in descriptive and effective way is something which is very important. So you can practice on number of topics with respect to ideas and examples you can think of, and you can actually work on paragraph formation later. So good point, yes, thank you.
Yes.
Now Vedant, coming to Vedant.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Vedant. Your score on writing is 7.5. So this is again a very good score on writing section. So I would like to know more about brainstorming, planning. How planning of a essay is important than actually writing it. Would you shed a light on this?
Yeah, basically, what used to happen with me, I used to write essay properly using good vocabulary, but the flow in which the essay should be written, that I was missing on that part of the essay. So Sanjog sir really helped me on that, and he gave me a template as you have said, and I do follow that template. Uh, Now I have been practicing all the essays from the official guide that has been handed over to test takers, and it really helps when one has written all the essays from that book. And I don't think there is any much need of practice other than that. One gets a proper idea about brainstorming while solving those questions. Also, one more thing is that one has to be aware of, like I used to write essays on the daily, like current happenings in the world. That helped me a lot. And I used to also email or in person show these essays to Sanjog sir. I used to take random topics off the book and tried writing essays on that, and that helped me build my brainstorming part of the essays.
Great. So basically what you are trying to say is it is important to be aware of topics in general, and you can
Yeah.
practice on them, like topics relating to technology, relating to education, leadership and all, right? So you can
Yes, right.
really keep some points handy on these topics, and you can customize according to the essay topic that you come across in the test, right? Great.
Yes.
Nice to know this. So in your actual test, did you really plan your essay and then you write it, or how did you go about it in
Like
actual test?
it came subconsciously. I didn't like have to plan the essay accordingly. I had practiced a lot, and the flow came subconsciously, and I was able to write a good essay.
Because you practiced in that way, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you didn't feel that you are writing for the exam. It's just that it was another practice for you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Right. Yes.
Okay. So my next question is to Nishigandha. Has she arrived at the place? Yes. Yes, Nishigandha. Many congratulations on your score. And I would like to ask you questions on your speaking section. Am I audible clearly? I think, okay, fine. So interview is face-to-face, speaking interview is face-to-face interview between examiner and examinee. And I just want to know, how did you prepare for the speaking section specifically?
The speaking session part is actually very important, and I'll just give you a very short difference. We all know to communicate in English, right? We all know how to talk properly. But when it is the time, like when you're giving your test over there, you are supposed to talk for a minute or two and brief out your ideas, right? So
Right.
one thing that's going to really help you out is give your mock test and take your practice sessions with your coordinators. It is the most important thing that will help you. They will guide you through the ideas, that how you're supposed to build them, how you're supposed to talk. Everyone knows it's very difficult. Like if now someone is asking you to stand up and say something about it, you all need to build up ideas. You all need to see the speed, how you're going to talk and everything. And everything in this matters in your school. So important and very must thing to do is take your sessions, do them seriously. Do not miss your sessions. Don't be shy. So it may be a little difficult for the writing term or speaking term, not in case of other thing, because you are face to face with the interviewer.
So take your session seriously and practice.
Right. So basically, what you are trying to say is it is important to practice on according to the examiner's expectations. What do they expect from your answers? So it is important that you do this, and coordinators help you do that to understand the format, to understand how should you give answers. So basically, what you are trying to say is to practice as much as possible on this aspect of the interview, right? Yes, great. Now I have a very important question. Many students feel nervous while they face an interview. So how did you overcome nervousness while you give the interview actually?
So, ma'am, this is very natural. And first of all, you will get nerves. No matter how much you practice, no matter how much you think you know English or you can communicate with each other, that is a very normal thing. Just don't get scared about the interview. It's not, they're not going to judge your intellectual thing. It is something they're going to judge your language. And points you are supposed to remember are your fluency, your speed, and your confidence. If you are answering properly, if you're maintaining everything is fine. But you're not confident, you're not, your pronunciations are not correct. These things will affect your points. And to overcome the nervousness, it's very simple. Like, sir gave me a few exercises too. They were like, you need to stand in front of the mirror, take any topic, and try to talk to yourself. So once you get friendly with that atmosphere, okay, you can talk. Maybe it won't be correct. You start at the very basic step, it won't be correct. You're going to make many mistakes. You're going to fumble on many words. This is going to happen. But if you don't practice and suddenly you jump for exam, it will be a horrible experience for you. So first thing is, and listen to your teachers, like especially sirs or guides you extremely particularly. Like there are so many resources outside which you would see, like on internet, there are so many resources to IELTS and everything. But the matter you're getting here at these classes is precise matter. So follow that and keep practicing.
Perfect. So Nishigandha, really helpful tips, and especially when it comes to writing section and speaking section, what is important is format and template, and knowing those assessment criteria well in advance and practicing accordingly. So as you said, yes, you must get specific guidance, precise guidance, based on which you can practice on the given material. Well then, thank you so much, Nishigandha. My next question is to Tanishka. Tanishka, you also scored 7.5 on speaking. So I know that it's been long. Tanishka, are you there? Would you switch on your camera? Okay, I think she's not on the place. Maybe I will take next question for Kaivalya. Kaivalya, are you there? Offline? Yes. Many congratulations, Kaivalya. Band 8, overall band 8, I guess, and on reading section you scored band 8, right? So after writing, it's reading which is daunting for students. So my question is, how did you prepare on the reading section of the test?
So the reading section, it isn't very different from what I prepared for listening and writing, because overall it's just English what you overall prepare for. But in reading, it is important you build up upon one of the two strategies. Either you read fast and then you read the questions, or you read slow and understand the passage. And when you read the questions, you roughly know where the answer lies in the passage. So you can build up upon one of the strategies which you are familiar with. I myself, I can't pace read very fine. So I usually read it in detail. Don't panic if you see that you are taking too long and the time is going, because once you are through with the passage, you can answer the questions pretty quickly. So not being anxious and reading the passage and understanding it was the thing which I told myself, and I followed it in the exam.
Yes. And so, Kaivalya, do you agree that your basic comprehension level of text has to be very good, and then only these strategies work? Do you agree with this?
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Actually, reading a lot of passages, practicing them, and having a little bit understanding about there aren't many different ways in which questions can be asked from a passage, and IELTS can ask from a passage. So if you practice around 4, 5, 6 passages in here, then you have a rough idea about what might the questions be. So you can just go on reading the passage and then store important points in your brain so that you can just refer them back while you are answering.
Okay, and what specifically practice did you do for time management?
So time management is one of the thing I'm a little poor at. So for the reading section, what I did was I just had my timer on and read the passage. I knew that I wouldn't struggle much into answering the passage. I have studied English all through my life from mostly junior KG or nursery. So answering passage wouldn't be a problem to me, which is what I understood even from the class, even from myself. So what I practiced was I would set a timer and start reading. What time does it take for me to read this much of passage and see the overall time which the exam provides, and this is what I usually planned. And sometimes I did try reading the questions first and then going through the passage, but I didn't think that it would have worked for me, so I went into this.
Great. So initially you experimented with strategies.
Yes.
That is something which is important. And do you also agree that initially you need not worry about the time that you are taking? It says comprehension ability. It is important to check your comprehension ability and accuracy level. And as you said, experiment with the strategies. So even though 20 minutes are given, you can still take 30 minutes and check your accuracy level using strategies and using understanding. So that is something which is important. And then you put yourself time control. What's say about this?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, that's the thing. You once you start experimenting with yourself, with the strategies which are provided, which you can devise for yourself, then you can actually don't care much about time management. You get to understand the passage once you are in a habit. For it's just like walking. If you just walk for 10 days in a row, the pace at which you walk on 11th day automatically increases. So if you are into practice of reading, if you are into practice of time management, it doesn't matter that you are in an exam or you're in a mock test. You just read it fast and you understand it. So just focus on what the question is, what the passage says, comprehend it, and then you can manage your time once you go through the practice.
Perfect. Well said, Kaivalya. Thank you for your guidance. And my next question is to Shruti. Shruti, your score on reading section is 8.5. So I would like to know, 8.5 means you got almost all correct on your test. So my question is, how did you manage on difficult question? Did you have any strategy where you focused on easier questions first and then you focused on difficult questions later, or while you are on the same passage? Would you say something about that?
I didn't really follow like easy and hard, nothing like that. I went from 1 to 40, whatever the question in the order. So while I was attending the class, Hiren sir told us like many strategies like for reading, and even while attempting the question, like how to understand the question, or for even paragraph, as he said that Kaivalya said that he needed to understand the whole passage. For me, it wasn't like that. I would underline different words or connecting words, like although was there similarly, or something like different words, and even words that were like particular to the paragraph, I would underline them. And in the questions, I would just connect them and they would link, and that's how I answered the questions. It is all about strategies. I didn't really need to understand the passage to answer. That.
Great, great. Okay, so maybe different strategies work for you. It's just the matter of checking those strategies before your test and practicing on those strategies.
Yes,
That is something which is important. That focus is very important. Many students tend to lose their focus. Obviously, they don't find those passages interesting and then they really mess up with the information. So what would you say on focus, especially when it comes to reading test?
So as you said that some people don't find it interesting, but it's for your future. You need to work for it, even if you don't like reading or whatever it is. Focus is very important. As I said, I would practice daily. I would strictly give myself 1 or 2 hours to practice for IELTS daily during my preparation time, and I did it daily. And for focus, I would like to tell, while listening, test was going on in the exam center, I lost my concentration for just 1 second and I missed one answer, and I know I lost mark there, and that's why I also scored 8.5 in that. So
Okay.
focus is very important while attending.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Shruti, for this advice. So make it a point that IELTS is not to entertain you. So it's basically the test that you are giving for your future. So no matter whether you like given passages, or you don't want to answer those questions, it's basically that focus is important. So maybe you can set goals for you that you want to find the answers in the given passage instead reading the passage passively. So when you have some goal, you really develop some interest because you know that you have to find the answers from a given passage. So great. Thank you so much, Shruti. And my next question is to Rajas. Rajas, are you there? Yes, Rajas. Band 9 on listening. Okay, so out of many congratulations, Rajas. So as we have highlighted this point, focus is very important for reading. I think it is more important for listening, because in reading section, at least you get back to the passage and get the information. But in case of listening, you do not get to listen to the audio again. So I would say it is more important on listening. So it's the test of focus. So I would like to know, how did you work on your listening section? What all practice did you do?
The most important key is to practice every day. I completed all my tests from the official guide, and I also downloaded the previous versions of the guide, which helped me to take the tests. And all the books are available online, so you can download it. Even on Telegram and Google, you can find all books. Also for listening, I used some strategies given by Hiren sir in the beginning of my training. He told us to mark some important or the key features of the information that is given on the question paper. And though the important keywords or the key features were like the time in the first question. If you have given the test, you would know that the first question or the first part of the listening test is about an inquiry or a phone call between two people. So they generally ask about a vacation or a hotel inquiry or some classes or something like that. And in that, there are few distractors as well as some features that are the answers to the test. So we have to recognize the distractor as well as the answers, and we should differentiate between the answers and the wrong answer. So that's the main key. And while listening, we just have to stay calm and listen to each and every word and not let our focus go, because there are several people in the test taker and the invigilators are roaming here and there. Sometimes the light may go off, or the vehicle's noise may come, and you might get distracted. So don't let that happen, because listening is a very easy task to score out of. And if you score out of in listening, then the overall average boosts up. So it's very important to score 9 in listening.
Yes, well said, Rajesh. And during practice sessions, do you suggest to listen to those audios repeatedly, just to make hold on what exactly are they saying? In exam, you can do that, but what say about during practice sessions?
Ma'am, in the practice sessions, specifically, if your training has just begun, then you can maybe try to listen the audio once again. But if if the test is like in 1 week or 1 month, I suggest that don't repeat the audio. Accept what scores you have, work on the strategies, and don't overwhelm on the scores, because in listening, I used to get sometimes 9.5, and I used to get overconfident. And in the next test itself, my score would go down. So don't let that happen, because in listening, it's pretty common to happen.
Yes, that's a great advice. How did you work on tricky questions? Like you already let us know about those traps, distractors during conversation. But there are some difficult questions to answer, like there are MCQs especially. So what would you say about those questions? How to attempt? What strategy did you practice any strategies on that?
Yeah, ma'am. The most important strategy was that I didn't wait for them to give the time to read the question. Uh, Usually, when you take the listening test, there is a time given for you for about 30 seconds or 20 seconds to read all the questions. Don't wait for that time. Just start reading the questions before the man or the woman gives you the instructions, and keep on underlining the keywords which you feel are important, because at that time when your practice is at higher level, you get to know that these questions or these words will be important for my answer, uh, and mark the key or the important words in the options too, because sometimes the options are only one word or two word, but sometimes the options are longer, like 2 or 3 sentences. So at that time it might get difficult for you to answer the question. So my only main strategy was to underline the question and to read it as possible, as quickly as I could.
Great, great. So great tip, Rajas. And just in case any student loses his focus during the test, should he or she go ahead with the point on which he or she is? What say?
Yes, ma'am. Because if we lose one answer, then it might happen that the next answer is connected to it in flow, and in that distraction or when we panic, we might lose the answers to the further 3 questions. So I suggest that if you lose one, just forget about it and try to focus on the next audio clip, because and just attempt everything, because there is no negative marking, right? So you won't lose any marks for a wrong answer. So just attempt everything, and yeah, don't panic and don't lose focus on the audio clip. Keep the track of the audio clip.
Perfect, perfect. So you can stand there itself. I have next question for you. Because you took the test recently, I wanted to ask this question to you. Would you walk us through your test day experience?
Yes, ma'am. It was very smooth, and I won't call out names, but unlike some universities here in Nasik, the test was very well planned, and they are very strict with their rules. So just don't try to cheat or something like that, because there was a guy and he was given timeout during a reading session. So just don't try to do anything funny. But all the procedure was very easy. You just need to take your passport with you, and you have to submit your luggage, and you have to go there, I guess, 2 hours prior to the test, because the procedure is quite boring and time consuming. After that, we enter the test room, and everything is provided. You don't need to take even a pencil or an eraser. Even a water bottle is provided. Everything is provided, but they also provide you with thousands of instructions, and they are pretty boring. So be patient and try to keep your mind sane, because sometimes boring things can make us distracted, and our scores may go down. So don't let that happen.
Great, great. And there is digital clock that you can see, right?
Yes, ma'am. The as here the projector is given, there is a clock on the screen. The pen paper based test that I took happened in SSK Solitaire Hotel, and the banquet hall they converted it into a test room. They arrange the tables and chairs for everyone, and there is a projector in the front, and huge clock is there. So don't worry about, you're not even allowed to wear a watch inside. Let it be an analog or a digital or a smartwatch. No watch, no electronic devices allowed inside the test room, uh, and you're not allowed to go to washroom also. So just do everything, do every business beforehand before entering the test room, because at the listening during listening time, you are not allowed to go outside at all, but at reading or writing you are allowed. And there are some parts in the test where they are giving instructions. At that time you are not allowed to go out. So and the air conditioning is also strong, so manage everything.
Good. Yeah, that was the point I was going to ask. Is the AC powerful? Okay. So my last question is one tip for the test day. What would be that?
Listen to what the trainers say and just practice every day. like before 1 week, I used to solve two tests every day, and including writing and speaking tests. For speaking test, Sanjog sir or Hiren sir will guide you pretty well. As someone said earlier, you have to stand in front of a mirror uh, and speak according to the questions given in the test booklet. Also, one thing that I found helpful about speaking was that when I started recording my response or my answer, I found out that it was pretty difficult. So if you are recording something, you tend to speak, or you tend to go off track. So don't let that happen, and try recording your responses so that you can listen to what mistakes you did, uh, or what improvements you need to make.
Great. Yes, thank you so much, Rajesh. Thank you for that hands-on experience. And my next question is to Vedant. Vedant, are you there? Yes, Vedant. So, Vedant, my question is, how many mock tests did you take before your final test?
I think at least 4 or 5. We used to have mock test every Saturday, and it really helped me. The more mock test one take, the better scores he or she will score. And the mock test which the Akshay study abroad takes are really helpful, and they are conducted every Saturday. Once you book the test, they are conducted every Saturday, and one can simply ask the student coordinator to enroll himself in the test, and then one can easily give the test.
Perfect. And my next question is, what did you do 2 days before your test, final test?
I don't actually remember what did I do, but I was like chill. I wasn't nervous because I had ample practice. I had taken ample practice, and I was a little bit skeptical about the speaking part of the test, the interview. I had gone through many sessions with Sanjog sir, but still I wasn't that confident that I could face, and I was nervous. But in first few like 1 or 2 questions, I got the confidence like that I can answer anything. Even some of the questions that the actual interviewer asked me were the same that Sanjog sir asked me. And so like 80% of the questions that interviewer asked me were same, and I gained a lot of confidence due to that, and I thought that maybe this wasn't something that I should be scared of.
Great, great. So you are really lucky guy that your
Yeah.
questions were same. But you brought up this good point that you tend to become nervous, but you have to overcome that. In a way, last time when we are conducting such kind of sessions, so I just asked that student, what would you think to overcome that nervousness? So he said that I would consider examiner as my friend, as he has come all the way to listen to me. Okay, then someone said, I would say that examiner is my fan, so he would listen to whatever I say. So, these type of thinking really help you overcome that nervousness. That's very important. And as someone said here, it's just the language test. They really don't check your aptitude or intellect. It's basically language speaking test. They just want to check your survival in English speaking country. That's it. Right? That's it.
Sometimes the interviewer cross-checks what terms or ideologies you're using. Like, for example, I had mentioned something about apocalypse in my statements, and then she cross-questioned me about what exactly apocalypse means.
Right.
So, like, sometimes
they really cross-check, to know that whether do you know the vocab usage that you are making, right? So this is a good point, that so unnecessarily do not try to use difficult words which even you don't know, okay, to just to show off. So it can be simple and effective language that you can use. Great. Yash, are you there? Would you switch on your camera?
Yes, ma'am.
Yash, we would like to know about your speaking test experience. Like, what did you do just 1 hour before your test to calm down yourself, and how did you face the interview?
And to be honest, I was like calm by myself. I didn't have to do anything.
Oh, that's
great. But 1 week prior to the interview, I was really nervous, and speaking was the only part which was really like I felt was challenging and I wasn't prepared as I hadn't attended the sessions during the regular classes, and it was only the practice after I had booked the exam, which I had done. So I wasn't really confident on the speaking part, but I had regular interactions with Sanjog sir, and I would do interviews on a daily basis. Like I did in my last week. Speaking was the only part which I paid like more attention to because everything else I had been practicing from a long time, but speaking I had taken up only like 15 days prior. Before it, I hadn't well practiced. So
Okay. And could you suggest us 3 or 4 do's and don'ts about speaking interview?
uh,
Some do's.
firstly, okay, do so. Like Vedant said, don't use vocabulary that you're not really sure of. Like even I'd used a few words and the examiner did cross-check me like if I really knew the meanings or I was just using it because I'd heard and wasn't really sure of. Then the next thing is to be to the point and answer only what is asked because that too is a criterion. And third one would be to be calm and even if you take some time to like to get an idea as to what to answer, it is okay because it is considered that if you take time to like what do we say
Think about your answers.
think about your answer, it doesn't affect your score. Like I remember a similar interaction session was held and I had attended it and one of the candidates he said that I had halted for some time but it didn't affect my score. So that really helped. Like I too had problems sometimes as to how to answer questions. So after that, it helped that we can halt and we can have some time for ourselves to answer the question.
Great, great. So, like, yeah, as he said, focus on your answer and do not focus on difficult words and grammar. Don't think too much about examiner's body language, like if he is happy or not happy with your answers. That's not your job. Okay, so that is something, and do not try to fill more silence. Do not try to fill silence with more answers. Try to conclude your answers confidently. As he said, answer what is being asked. Okay, so yes, these are a few do's and don'ts, and they definitely help students at the last
And
moment.
ma'am, one thing
Yes.
I remember it is a common practice like for the 2 minute part. So they tell us that now we have to start your preparation and they give us the like the topic. But in my case, I wasn't told that you should start preparing now. So for about in the 1 minute preparation time I was given, I was like sitting blank for 20 seconds and I had to decide for myself that I should start preparing. So that did affect my performance. So that should be taken care of. That it is not always that you will be told to do the preparation.
That's the good point, Yash. Thanks. Thanks for sharing. Yes, my next question is to Nishigandha. Nishigandha, are you there? Yes, Nishigandha. So this question is about the mode of exam. Like students get confused between paper-based or computer-based, PBT or CBT. And then how did you choose PBT over CBT? What would you say?
Computer-based test or a written practical test. You need to be sure that you are comfortable if you're choosing the computer-based test because you are supposed to type, so your typing speed matters. You need to get your ideas, you need to lay them, you have to plan your essay properly, you have to write. So I think taking the test or the mode of test, one major thing you need to remember is the writing part. Other than that, I don't think it would affect that much. But if you're sure for your typing, if you're sure that you can go with the given time and you would not mess up at the time of exam, taking consideration all the other things as well. So for me, it was sure that I am not that I don't have a good typing speed, so I didn't choose for the computer-based test. And apart from that, Yeah, it's just that thing. Nothing more than that word.
Okay, that means you didn't practice on one PBT and one CBT and then decide, right? It's like you
No.
were already knowing that you're comfortable with paper-based test.
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's great. Now my next question is to the candidate who has taken the CBT. And Kaivalya, I think you took CBT. So how did you choose CBT over PBT? And why did you choose CBT over PBT?
Yes, ma'am. So, just like she said, you need to be comfortable with using a laptop, typing. So, if you are into it, I have done my complete graduation. I am very familiar with my laptop. Most of the time, I'm with my laptop. So, I'm very comfortable with typing, as well as I am a bit anxious about my handwriting. It's a bit small. I am not confident that it might get a good impression or not. So for me, it was definite that I'll take a computer-based test because it is what I'm familiar with. It is what I am into my complete day. You can as well try a words per minute test or something as to check how much you can type. Are you comfortable with the laptop? Are you comfortable with computer-based tests? But it is actually a good atmosphere and I like it. So,
Perfect. And then there is this important query. Do you really get 10 minutes time to transfer your answers from question sheet to answer sheet on PBT? You get that time on PBT. So do you get 10 minutes on CBT as well, or it's less than that?
I don't remember exactly. My test was in the month of May, but I don't think we do get the time in computer-based exam because in the listening test and everything, I would just listen and mark my answers while I was listening to them because there wasn't much time given after that. So
Oh,
the
okay.
computer-based test has that point wherein you listen and you mark the
And there
answers.
is always digital clock for PPT. So how does this
Yes,
clock?
you always have a clock in the top right corner where you get to
Okay.
know what the time is. Also,
Okay.
they give a little while after the sections where the thing is paused. They give some instructions, and you can scroll up and down where you can mark the answers. You can change a bit, or if you have doubt that you have a incorrect spelling. So after the test, you have a little bit time, but it's not exactly 10 minutes. It was a little shorter than.
Okay, that's great. That's great. So your experience on CBT was also great. Now, one last tip. Okay, one last tip. In general, not for any specific section. One general tip for the IELTS test. What would be that, according to you?
General tip would be similar to what everyone said. Practice, be familiar with the format, and be confident. Whatever you do, speaking test, the confidence is must. In listening, reading, and writing test, confidence affects in a way that you are not anxious. You have your focus on, and if you know that past sections have gone well, even if they haven't, you know that you can cover up the score. It's average score. So even if you get a little down in one of them, you can average it out in the other sections. So don't be anxious. And it's just an English test. You have been giving it from your last fourth. Maybe.
That's
So
great. That's great. Thank you so much. Then Vedant, what would be the general tip that we would give?
Yeah, don't miss out the practice sessions with Sanjog sir or whoever the IELTS coordinator is. And I would say that when Hiren sir is taking the class, try to participate in the discussions that are being held in the classes because that helps one boost confidence a lot. I too did practice. I too did participated in a lot of the discussions, and that helped me. And one more thing is that like we are not the first speakers of English language, so we just try to speak with reference to just one gender. So that should be avoided. Like when someone is pointing out, they should try to speak like for he or she, or simply gender neutral pronouns that should be used. That is one thing that I had practiced a lot. And last thing is that try to cover up all the questions from the IELTS official guide for writing section. That helps a lot.
Great. And what would be that tip from you, Yash?
Ma'am, attend the sessions. Like we said, you should be interactive during the sessions. That really helps. And uh, attend as many mock tests you can give as many mock tests you can give, and be confident. And yeah, that's it.
Okay, that's great. So to summarize, guys, I would say that know your current level, number one. Number two, plan your test accordingly. Plan it in advance. Don't press yourself too much towards end. Whatever practice that you want to do it now. You have a lot of time, plenty of time with you, and attend the sessions regularly. Check those strategies, improve your accuracy level, give as many mock tests as possible, seek help, okay, and attend, be confident. That's it. Thank you very much for joining us, all the panelists. I hope participants here found the session helpful. Yes, guys, you can let us know your opinion in the chat box so that we get to know the feedback of you guys based on the session that we had right now. Thank you so much, guys. Thanks again. And now I request Hiren sir to proceed with the question answer session.
All right. So for people who have joined us online, feel free to drop in your questions in the chat. I'll read them out. If the questions are also specific to one of the top scorers here, feel free to mention their name. For people who are here in person, you can let me know your question. Before the panelists answer, do allow me to repeat the question so that people online would be able to hear your question as well. So yeah, we're open for questions. Yes. Yeah. So we have a question here about the amount of time it takes for the scores to arrive. So I would like to ask two people here based on two different ways of people have taken the test. So Rajas, did you get your scores in 13 days?
Yes. On 13th day at midnight, 12 was scored now.
Right.
The student dashboard.
So for the IELTS test on paper, it's a standard that you get your test results in 13 days. I believe on the day of the test, you also are informed the exact date and time as well, right? And did you also receive a physical TRF?
Not receive a physical TRF. I think they have stopped that system. We just have to download the PDF from the student dashboard on the
Yeah, you also get to use it electronically, right? When it comes to score reporting.
We can even transfer the test form that we are willing to.
Right. And Kevin, you took the test on computer. So you did mention that it's been a long time. But do you remember how much time it took? Was it 2 or 3 days?
Yes, it was pretty quick. I'm not able to find it. But yes, it was quick. It was in a week or so that I did.
Yeah. So as a standard for paper-based test takers, it's 13 days. And for computer delivered, it's under 5 days. We've seen that many students even receive their results in around 2 or 3 days. So yeah, that's generally how the turnaround time is. Okay, we also have a question from Pushpak who has joined us online. The question can be taken by any one of our speakers over here. Do you guys have any specific tips for the writing section? I believe we've already mentioned quite a few, but if you could just reiterate the key tip for the writing section.
So the most important thing that people have a misconception about is that we have to use high-level vocabulary like we have to in GRE, but that's not the case here. We just have to use proper grammar, and we need to have a flow to our answer so that it does not feel like it's in a jumbled form. So that's one of the main things. We don't need to use repetition or we have to avoid the repetition of words because that might affect us.
Right. And to quickly summarize tips that Rajesh has just given, make sure that you are focusing on all aspects of writing. As he said, vocabulary does not guarantee a high score. Avoid repeating words instead. That's a more simplified way to deal with it. And the second key point that you mentioned was about the flow of your ideas. Make sure that your ideas flow. So the two tips that Rajesh has mentioned is that high level vocabulary is not something that guarantees a high score. Make sure that your ideas connect. To add to what Rajesh has said, I would do mention that make sure that you are understanding the process of assessment of writing in a more holistic sense. If you are able to understand the band descriptors document, then that would really help you to understand what the examiners want to read from you, and you would be able to do well. Okay, so thank you, Pushpak, for asking that question. Any other question that you guys have? It can even be something specific to the experiences that these students have shared. Yes. All right. I'll quickly repeat the question for the people who are here online. The question is whether that 1 minute of preparation time in part 2 of the speaking interview was enough for the people who have recently taken the test. So anyone here who wants to share the response? Yes, Keval.
It was they do give us a time, they give us a paper, and they just someone like the your idea. 1 minute is actually a sufficient time to write about 10 points, 20 points. You can actually have a few in there. Once you practice with sir, you can actually get a customized advice about what you are lagging in your vocabulary, of your ideas. My personal assessment, my vocabulary and grammar was good, sir, but what I lacked was I abruptly ended my idea or my sentences, so I didn't provide a very good impression. That is the point which is to be focused. More ideas you get, and 1 minute time is very. Then also you have a paper in front of you, and again refer to the words which you have.
All right. So to quickly repeat Cavalier's response, 1 minute seems sufficient. Make sure that your that your notes have keywords, and you should be able to figure out the flow, the structure in which you should be speaking. Okay. Any other question that you guys would like to ask? Okay. I have a detailed question from Pushpak. Let me quickly read this. Okay. So this is a question which is related to the writing and the speaking section, and it is connected to grammar and vocabulary. So the question from Pushpak here again is that whether it's necessary to use a wider range of vocabulary and grammar. Sorry, from what I understand, the question is it more important to use a wider range of vocabulary, or is it more important to use a wider range of grammar when it comes to speaking and writing? Just to quickly preface the question, in the IELTS test, for both speaking and writing, there are two assessment criteria. There's grammatical range and accuracy, and there is lexical resource. Both look at range and accuracy of grammar and vocabulary. So what, according to you, is more important, range of vocabulary or range of grammar? Yes, Rajesh.
So according to me, both the things are very important. And by what the test takers mean by range of vocabulary is that they don't want hi-fi or something words. They just want you to change the word form and the place of the word in a sentence, and they want you to change the structure of the sentence in every bit. So one problem that I faced was that my structure of sentences were very similar to each other, and that's why I guess I scored lower than the sections. But main thing about speaking and listening is about grammar. While speaking also, usage of grammar is very important because when we are under pressure, we tend to make mistakes, and it's not very good for us.
Yep. So to summarize Raj's response, both are equally important. Range of vocabulary and accuracy of vocabulary, along with range of grammar, accuracy of grammar. According to the assessment process, both have 1/4 of the weightage in the total assessment. If you are someone who is trying to get a score of C1 level according to CFR, which is 7.5 or 8 in IELTS, you should initially get accurate with your sentences, with your word choices, and then you can build upon that and widen your range. So that's also one more thing that I wanted to add to Raj's response. I think we'll take one more question and then we'll wrap things up. Yes, yes. Yeah, I'll quickly repeat the question. Would you be able to see the word count while typing in the computer delivered IELTS test? Yes. Yeah, I understand. No problem. There is a word counter on the screen. If you're someone who doesn't know much about the computer delivered IELTS test, I would highly recommend that you check out the sample questions on the official website. This was one question. I'll take one final one, which is for Cavalier. I can see that there's a very catered question over here. Okay, so Cavalier, in the listening section, did you feel that you were getting rushed, or do you think that you had enough time to listen, understand, answer the questions on computer?
That is that the first section was pretty easy, it was pretty slow, the answers were direct. Next section, gradually the difficulty level profiles increasing. So once you get after the mid sections, it seems that you are rushed, but you can get to the answers. You just have to focus, especially in the computer-based test. And I didn't give my test in last week. I was present in India at that time. So the facility there was pretty good. They provided good headphones and all. There were sort of noise cancelling headphones and everything. So the listening quality was good. The audio is good. You just have to focus. They give time to read through the questions. So get through the questions. Ask the words, the keywords in your mind, and you just can mark them while you are going through. But it might happen that you might feel that you are getting a little rushed.
Yeah. So as Cavalier mentioned, feeling rushed, especially towards the second half of the test, is quite natural, quite common to happen. What's more important is to be present, listen to the recording. You don't need to be in a rush to write answers. And for everyone here who knows the format of the test, you should be expecting that to happen. You just have to have a plan to handle that. Like, for example, most of you did talk about the listening section, and you did mention about underlining keywords. So irrespective of whether you take the test on computer or on paper, make sure that you are highlighting or underlining keywords. So thank you, Cavalier, for your response. And Kunal, I hope you received an appropriate response to your question. So we are already past our time, and I'm really thankful for everyone who has joined the session. For the participants, if you listened, if you asked a question to the top scorers, I hope you found all these insights helpful. Hopefully, this gives you a fresh perspective towards preparing for the IELTS test. And for the people who spoke, the top scorers of today. Thank you for taking out your time, even the ones who came here in person. Um, uh, there's nothing much for them in return. They are here so that they can share their valuable insights. So you are definitely contributing for the greater good. So I think with this, we are done for the day. And for the people who have joined us online, I hope your questions got answered. Thank you everyone for joining.